And hello there, my little mathematicians. We are going to practice reviewing adding and subtracting mixed numbers, but some really tough, challenging ones. So let's follow along on C-42. Again, that's C-42. Try the first one, N. So again, always when you're showing your work, label what it is, that this is C-42. SAS worksheet, and we're going to do the first one, which is problem number N. Okay, and problem N said 3 9/10 plus 2 13/16. The first thing we want to do is get a common denominator. So you think to yourself, what can 10 and 16 both become? Well, can 10 become 16? No. 16 times 2 is 32. This is just going to take forever. So I'm going to do the ladder method. What can go into both 10 and 16? 2. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 2 goes into 16 8 times. Can you keep going? No. So you multiply 2 times 5, which is 10, and 10 times 8, which is 80. So 80 is my common denominator. That would have taken me forever going the other way. So that's why I like doing the cake method for numbers that are a little bit tougher that you can't do in your head. All right, now that you have a common denominator, 10 times what is 80? 8. So 9 times 8 is 72. 16 times what is 80? 5. And 13 times 5 is 65. Well, now that you have the same denominator of 80, you add the numerators. 2 plus 5 is 7. 7 plus 6 is 13. And then add the whole numbers. 3 plus 2 is 5. Okay, these ones are really tough. If you have mastered adding and subtracting mixed numbers, try this worksheet. If not, maybe try one of the easier ones because these numbers are getting pretty massive and difficult. 80 goes into 137. Why am I doing this? Because this is an improper fraction right here. I can't leave it as is. So you always take the top number divided by the bottom. So the top number goes inside, the bottom number goes on the outside. 80 goes into 137. Well, it can't go into 1, it can't go into 13, but it goes into that once. 7 minus 0 is 7. 13 minus 8 is 5. So you put your remainder of 57 over what you divided by, which was 80. So the 5 was already there, and then 137 over 80 is the same thing as 1 and 57 over 80. Combine the whole numbers, 5 plus 1 is 6, and you have 57 over 80. I can't reduce that, so you're done. Now for the worksheet itself, is, again, on here, my answer was 6 and 57/80ths, which is between 6 and 7, right? So between 6 and 7, I'm going to write an N. And that's why this problem, like everything about this worksheet, is a little bit tough. The numbers are big. They aren't that obvious. And then it doesn't even give you the exact answer, so you can't check yourself. You just need to know, oh, it's between these two. Okay, and then sometimes in one of them, I'll give you a hint, D is also between here, okay, when you come across that. So sometimes like you have to round, wherever D is, it's actually a little bit smaller than this one, and it's still between 6 and 7. So that can happen. And don't be alarmed, sometimes the spacing is a little bit off on the worksheet. It's all right, just trust yourself. Because if you're doing this worksheet, you're brilliant. It's hard. I'm going to get you started on the word problems. Okay, Betsy needed some fabric to make flags. She bought this much fabric of red, this much of white, and this much of blue. How much did she buy altogether? You're going to add all those. Diana went salmon fishing with her father. Diane caught a fish that weighed 16 3/8 pounds. Her father caught one that weighed 10 1/16. About how much heavier was Diane's fish? Okay, again, always try to set it up before me. You can always hit pause and then try to figure it out, then play. Okay, it says how much heavier was it? that's your hint that you're going to subtract. So you're going to put the 16 3/8 minus 10 1/16. Always put the bigger whole number on top when you're subtracting. For this one, a plumber had a piece of pipe that was 27 7/8 inches long. He cut off a piece 3 3/4 inches long and used it to repair the sink. About how long was the remaining piece of pipe? What do you think you would do? Well, if he had this much and he cut off this much, how long was the remaining piece? You're going to subtract. So 27 7/8 minus 3 3/4. Last word problem. Mario is training for the track team. He ran 4 1/4 mile on Monday, this much on Wednesday, and this much on Friday. About how far did he run altogether on the 3 days? So you're going to add those 3 numbers. Okay, and that would be it. If you did this impossible worksheet, congratulations. The numbers were very difficult. Here are the answers so you can check yourself. And I know the joke doesn't seem like it makes sense, but if you look a little bit more closely, it says he didn't see the ewe turn. That's another name for sheep. It says, why did the boy sheep plunge off a cliff while chasing the girl sheep? Okay, so it's talking about sheep. That's an ewe, which kind of sounds like U-turn. Remember, they're never funny. Okay, as long as they make words, you know you're right. So that was really tough. And then if you got stuck on any of those and realized, well, or trying to figure out what went wrong, here's the work for the first few. Okay, again, you can always hit pause and then check yourself if I can get them all in the frame. There you go. Okay, you can hit pause, check your work. There's for the first few. And for the last set, there you go. All right, if you got those right, please congratulate yourselves. Those were very hard. Till next time, my little mathematicians.